Welcome to the Dennis News Network. Two independent research teams have now identified a potential link between a microorganism, Fusobacterium, and colon cancer, making the unexpected observation that a single genus of bacteria, common in dental plaque, is found more often in colon cancer tissues than normal tissues. My guest is Dr. Matthew Meyerson of the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. He is a senior author of one of the studies. Dr. Meyerson, thanks for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Drake. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.
So let's begin. Talk about what you were trying to accomplish in this research, and were these findings unexpected?
It was a big surprise to us. We were basically looking for differences in bacteria between colon cancer and normal colon from the colon cancer patients. And quite honestly, I was expecting more that there might be a mixture of bacteria that were different rather than one specific bacterium. And so finding this unique bacterium, the Fusobacterium, was truly a big surprise for us.
And wasn't there an Australian study recently that also showed a link to either bacteria or a virus and stomach cancer, and this seems to be kind of a trend?
That's right. So this is actually maybe about, 15 or 20 years ago even. An Australian group discovered a bacterium that first was associated with gastric ulcers and gastritis, and then later with both stomach cancer and what's called malt lymphomas of the stomach.
Okay.
So it definitely looks like a trend. What I'd say is we know pretty convincingly that there's a causative relationship between infection with the bacterium and the disease. Here for colon cancer, we really don't know yet. It could be that the Fusobacterium are causing colon cancer, but it could also be that there are consequences of colon cancer.
Say, for example, I mean, obviously you're talking about the causation here. Why do you think they're in the area? Well, I mean, why are they attracted to the cancer cells if they're not causing it?
Again, they may be causing it, but if they're not causing it, you could just imagine that the cancer cells could be providing a hospitable environment for the bacterium to grow. That could happen a couple different ways. For example, one way would be that the cancer cells are putting out particular nutrients that are simply taken up by these particular bacteria, and they grow well using these nutrients. Another possibility would be that the cancer provides a specific pH environment that's a hospitable environment for the bacteria. So I think there are a number of possible explanations that could account for the bacteria growing because of the cancer rather than the cancer growing because of the bacteria.
Okay. And talk about the relationship between the bacterium and dental plaque. It's said that this is a common bacteria in gum disease, for example. Is it something that's in our bodies anyway that ends up in the gums and could be related to the cancer, or is there really a possibility that if you have gum disease, your chances of colon cancer actually go up?
We haven't done any research that actually addresses this question yet, but I think it's a great question that you raise, and I think it's something that we and others should definitely investigate. But honestly, I don't have any better answer to that question right now than you do.
And then we're talking about inflammatory conditions here. Talk about the overall relationship between inflammation and cancer and what we know about that now.
Absolutely. So we certainly know in many different types of cancer that inflammation promotes cancer development. And one of the most dramatic examples actually comes from colon cancer, where there's a chronic inflammatory disease, ulcerative colitis. And patients with ulcerative colitis are at a vastly increased risk of colon cancer compared to people who don't have ulcerative colitis. And in fact, there have been several recent studies, most of them from Japan, which report that Fusobacterium infection of the colon is associated with ulcerative colitis. So if those reports about colitis hold up, and our study about colon cancer holds up, then you could imagine that this might be a link between ulcerative colitis and colon cancer.
And talk about what your next step here is in this research.
Absolutely. So I think we have a couple next steps. One is to find out more about what's the natural history of Fusobacterium infection in colon cancer. At what point do you start to see the infection? Is it before the full cancer appears and kind of pre-cancer, or is it after the cancer appears? And that will help tell us more about the role of the bacterium in causing cancer. We also want to explore what happens if we take animals that are prone to colon cancer and then feed them with Fusobacterium. Does this increase the chance of them getting colon cancer? So a couple steps that are really aimed at understanding where the bacteria are and what role they might play in the development of colon cancer.
Well, it's fascinating research, and thank you so much for sharing your time with us.
Well, Scott, it's a pleasure to talk with you.
My guest is Dr. Matthew Meyerson of the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. He is the senior author of one of 2 independent studies, and you're watching the Dentist News Network.